Hello and welcome back to Wireman's Whimsy. This is our next video in the series using the Wanted to Say dies. And for this one we are using the Celebrate dies. So we've got the detail die and the background die. And I've done the detail in Crumb Cake and the background in Highland Heather. And I took this inspiration off Pinterest from Sally Poole. And it really struck me because it looks a bit like a log cabin quilt if you were to put it on edge. So this one I didn't do an embossing folder with, but the one we're going to do on the video, I am going to use the exposed brick folder before I put this down. So I've got, as the banner behind the greeting, I've got a 1 inch by 3 3/4 piece of the Perennial Lavender Designer Series paper, and the rest, all the small pieces, I'm going to be using with the from that Perennial Lavender set. So I've got a Crumb Cake card base, I've got a Highland Heather in 5 1/4 by 4, and you can cut the center out if you want to, and I've got a card front at 5 by 3 3/4. So 5 by 3 3/4 is going to go over top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I designed where my points would go. I measured in 1 7/8 from each side and 1 3/4 from the bottom. So I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm going to come in 1 3/4 from the bottom and just put a very light pencil dot there. And then I'm going to change the ruler around and I'm going to come in 1 7/8, which is right here. And I did that as a little line, so you can see I'm almost bang on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take an eraser and erase the dot. And just leave that little line there. That's how I'm going to work out where I need to put my strips. So I'm just going to pop this down. It's a little more than 1/4 inch from the bottom. And that's going to go there. And then I'm going to take my strips and I'm just going to put some adhesive on them, and they're going to come over the edge, so you don't have to put adhesive all the way to the end. But what I need to do is I need to take one of these without any glue on it, and I need to work out where I want this, the angle I want this to go, so that I've got this the correct way. And I just want to tip this just a little bit like that. And that means when I attach this one, I'm going to pop it in so that it is flush up with the edge. So you should have the same distance here and the same distance here, because this is going to zigzag along. So I'm just going to grab another piece and put some adhesive on it and notch it in like this. Just like that. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. I think I'm going to use a solid green. And these are all cut to 1 inch. Or sorry, good grief, a 1/2 inch. And I just used the offcuts from when I trimmed my paper down. So let's use this one. We're going to pop this one in. Actually, I have to put it this way because that's directional. So let's just find another one that we haven't used yet. We'll use this one. And we're going to pop this one in here like this. Just butt it right up against each of the edges. And then we'll put this one in like this. Again, just snugging it right up against those edges. Now, before I do the rest of the bits, I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to trim my edges off. And I'm just going to pop them down like that. And then trim this square off like that. And just pop it down. The reason I'm popping these down and not just throwing them away right away is because we could use them to fill in the gaps at the top. So I'm going to come across like this. And just take those. And if your scissors get sticky, you can always just take an alcohol wipe or some rubbing alcohol and just clean them off. Okay, so now I've got bits that I need to fill in at the top here. So let's see if any of these pieces strike my fancy. So this one can go in here like this. Now let's take the green one. It's got some adhesive on it, but it's not over the edge. You can use brand new strips for all of this. You don't have to use your cut off ends. This is just a way to save a little bit of your designer series paper. So we're going to tuck that in like that. And then what do I want to do with this one? Maybe I'll take this one and I'm going to pop it in like this. Actually, I'm going to start another piece here. I'm going to do this piece. And we're just going to pop this in like this. And then I end up with this little tiny, tiny, tiny piece at the top. So you've got a couple of options. You can use a glue dot to kind of add a piece into that, or you can just leave it. Like, really, would you even notice that that doesn't have any paper on it? Or you can, it's such a tiny, tiny piece. Let me just grab a glue dot out. I have all these glue dots left over from my paper pumpkin packages. And so I've put it right on the corner there. And apparently I haven't put it right on the corner there. Okay. I'm going to put it right on the corner there. Pick that up, and then I can roll it. So the nice thing about the glue dots is you can roll them. And then I'm just going to pop it right onto the edge of the card there, and then just trim it off. There we go. So we do have color all the way to the top. I'm just going to clear all that out of the way. Except now I have stuff stuck to the counter. There we go. Okay, so we're at this point. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my exposed brick folder and I'm going to run this through. So it's going to go through like that. Again, spine first, so we're going to get a lot of clanging and banging as it goes through. Okay. There we go. So then what we end up with, if you have a quilt, you can patchwork it, but then you generally stitch over top to actually do the quilting, like do the stitching quilting. So it kind of blends everything together, and that's what this has done. It's really, really put everything together. This is really pretty, but I think this just adds just that next kind of level to it. So we're just going to take this and we're going to adhere it down to our Highland Heather 5 1/4 by 4 mat. So we're just going to pop it down equal distance in sides and tops and bottom. There we go. And now we're going to dimensionalize this piece. You can absolutely put it down flat. Dimensionalizing it just gives it a bit more of a 3D effect, and just helps it stand out just that little bit. Okay, if you ever have trouble getting your backings off, just fingernail in the middle and they just lift right off. You can't sometimes stop them from sticking on your fingers though. There we go. And the same way, we make sure we've got our card facing opening in the correct way. And then we just line this up, equal sides, top and bottom. There we go. And now we can add our greeting. I did this on adhesive backing so that it's really easy to adhere it. And of course it's being difficult. Come on, there we go. So as I said in the previous video, I highly recommend, if you get this set of dies, also get the adhesive sheets so that you can, it makes it so much easier to stick these down. Now I'm just going to use my poking tool here just to get everything kind of lined up where I want it to go. And this one's good because there's enough kind of holes in the pieces that I can just gently push it where I want it to go. And I found that the R was particularly, it was easy to stretch, so I really needed to kind of relocate that so that everything else fit properly. Okay, so that's done, and I am going to dimensionalize this, and I think I used my small dimensionals for this. And so one there, and one there. And then I trimmed the edge to get a small, like get a really skinny piece that I can pop in there like that. Okay, and then I just add it to the front. And then I've got my purple shimmer gems is the bling that I used on this one. And the purple shimmer gems come in 3 colors. There's Highland Heather, there's Berry Burst, and Gorgeous Grape. And I actually used the Gorgeous Grape ones for this, even though the background paper is Highland Heather, because the Gorgeous Grape is kind of the darkest color in here. So I just popped 3 down at the bottom here. Sorry if I'm out of frame now. I'm back in frame. There we go. I have this line on my desktop, and I kind of use that as my as whether I know I'm in frame or not. But sometimes I end up pulling everything towards me. So, and then just 3 on this side. I love the putty end of the Take Your Pick tool for this. It just makes lining them up so much easier. So that is our finished card, and you can let me know in the comments whether you prefer it plain or with the embossing folder. Both are really pretty. I just think that this one lends just that little bit more interest, but it's completely up to you. And let me know what colors and what designer series paper you do this one in. So thank you so much for watching, and let's create together again soon.